Great and beautiful morning and evening to you all, wherever you are joining me at this moment. Welcome to 529 edition of Invest Data Trading Academy Live with Ambrose. Yes, I would say that the market at the global scene as we speak right now is still very much mixed. Why market is reacting to, yes, the macroeconomic data emanating from different domains as we speak right away. These are also is influencing what is happening in this market as we speak. And on that note, consider different investor or market sentiment in these different domains, especially in Asia, in Europe, and that of US are different because of different market sentiment. But the major factor that is driving all the sentiment are these recent operations that came from US, from England, which is UK, and that of China. We saw that in Asia, I speak now, market in Asia are looking what are looking southward at this moment, just what because of what fear of the missed GDP figure that were released, as market is trying to analyze that. And overnight also, seeing that inflation figure that came from US was also taken up already, and that is a concern for players in that region. Combined or coupled with what is expected in terms of tariff weight also as currently depressed the market right now in Asia market. Hong Kong shares as speak now is also kind of extending a strong gain from the previous session as a result of what attention or demand for tech company. I mean, tech sector are the one moving a market in Hong Kong as to speak now. For me, that is the only store we're seeing that. But also we're seeing that the artificial intelligence shift in China also there's also resume also says we're seeing opportunity there also. But in the mainland China's market, following also looking at the missed GDP I said earlier from that reading, for good consecutive quarters, we have seen that the reading, market is reacting to all this. That is why we are seeing that the possibility that China sustaining this slow down in what in the following month is there. That's why I see as we speak now, the major ocean index, sorry, the major index in that domain are also has kind of declined by 0.2% each. The two that also Hong Kong, like I said earlier, we're seeing that the gain I mentioned earlier is I would say driven by what the major tech shares I've mentioned weight on what on that index in that Hong Kong as I've mentioned earlier, and also other companies that are releasing their quarter results. We're seeing a jump, in their performance, and that also affected price in that domain as we speak. But generally, Asia stock is tracking what is happening in Wall Street as well. We expect that the hot inflation figure that were released in that domain has also weakened Wall Street. Also, it's also kind of things weighing down. These are the things that the market is doing in Asia right away. Or quickly look at all that market. Look at what is happening in Japan. Japan, we're seeing that Japan market is down by 0.2. Australia for the same 0.9 as we speak now. Why Singapore is also marginally in green, but and that of India market is also flat as we speak. All concerned over what concerned over drop tariff also have remained a major interplay in this in that domain after applying 25% duty on South Korea and Japan, taking effect from what from August 1st. Trump on Tuesday also set the 19% tariff on Indonesia, and also hinted recently that a trade deal with India may be closed. These are the things that is also playing in that Asia market right now. That's why we are seeing that that environment or that domain are seeing a mixed reaction, mostly in red. But if you look at in Europe, European stocks as we speak now, European stocks are also mixed right now. But the major figure or kind of data that came from UK also to what we've seen the UK inflation also maintaining up direction. Then that also another factor that also kind of deflate that market in that region, and also we are seeing that the rise in inflation in UK it's also more than expected, according to data released also on Wednesday earlier, shows that yes, this headache, and I believe that the Bank of England, have been policymakers has attempted all this to guide the economy. But let's say I go, but I believe that this is also kind of a signal, and we're likely see that consumer price index in that region, or core inflation, continue to rise for the rest of the year. But let's believe and see, because if you compare with the figure we're seeing and that of May, you can see that from 3.4 released in May, Apple already reading 3.6. That is where it is going at the end of the day. And for me, this what is a major concern for market. Not forget that perceive that zone try to pull their house together. I believe that the ECB, last time I've said they're also suspending a rate cut after they've cut rate for more than almost 3 to 4 times. Let's see what's going to happen in the next MPC meeting. But already, I believe that this is also a sign for Bank of England, to know that yes, because they have continually warned that inflation is underway in the Bank of England in their meetings, and they really, figure have reviewed the same thing as to speak, giving an outlook that there might also be inflation will come, but not immediately. But let's see how it's going to be. We're going to see in their monetary policies how they're going to respond to this. Is very, very key. Policy, monetary policy direction is going to play major part going to the future, not only in UK, US, or Japan, or Chinese. China is going to be a general thing. As we then finally look at what is happening in US before we come to Africa market to look at the trend in Africa market. And don't forget that today our topic is the power of economic and corporate numbers, in trading stocks or investing in stocks. Or you need to understand this, but it's very, very important at this moment, because we are seeing how market is reacting to this data, and all eyes are still on the corporate number. These are the two numbers we're going to discuss. How can you navigate using this number to make your investment decision at any time, any day, in any market cycle? You need to understand this. Yes, US market as we speak now is also lower. Looking at start at this midweek. I tell you that investors are also looking ahead to see the fresh draft of corporate earnings that will be hitting the market, to give a kind of an insight how the producer price growth for the period will look at. Already they have seen that inflation is ticking up. That's why I'll tell you that major market players that are digesting the implication of this of this means consumer price data, or in this report that were released, kind of gearing up for what, for even more inflation figures going into the future. And these are the things that are concerned. But I believe that as more earnings are coming, because most companies in the US are set to release their latest quarterly reports, and that also shaped the market. But I believe that this is also part of the thing that in major markets of the world, including NGS here, we expect that going into this week and the last week of July, we're going to see more of these figures shaping the market. But because mature markets are still looking at between now and August 1st, deadline for effective, or kind of order to reciprocate in terms of levy, tariff and all. These are what's going to shape the market in US as we speak, and not only that, also across the globe. But I believe that as we speak now, the indicators of market index there for that June is down by 0.2, S&P also declined by 0.2, and the Y NASDAQ is also down by 0.3. These are the market state, the state of the market right now as we speak in US market. But I tell you that this June inflation figure is currently being analyzed, interpreted to see the implication ahead of what Fed meeting, because Fed have seen that earlier now that hiking rate, kind of cutting rate, this year the possibility is very slim. With this, inflation taking up, what it means for the Fed and his team, or his policy committee member on what to do. That means it was calling for rate cut at this time. I think with the figure we're seeing, how possible is this? That's why we need to think about. Also, US and Indonesia trade deal announced. Trump on Tuesday also said that would begin to place 19% tariff on goods from Indonesia as part of trade deal with Southeast I don't know, Asia nations. These are the things that also we're seeing that we want to have a way of affecting sentiment as market players here and there continue to analyze the implication of all these in the market. But I believe that AI, which is artificial intelligence, has also come to play a major role in most of this market. But I believe as all eyes are still on earnings in US and other markets, these numbers will also have a way of shaping what the market sentiment and also giving direction where the market is also heading as we speak. But if we look at oil price, I think that oil price also have inched up again today. As investors are looking at what is happening around them, especially looking at the positive figure that or the missed number that came from China and US, thinking of how it's going to affect on that. We're seeing a kind of a rebound in oil price, and also don't forget that Trump and the Putin on this issue of war in Ukraine. All these are what the market players in that commodity market are looking at to interpret the price movement we're seeing so far, in the commodity market, really crude oil price. But if you go to Africa market, like I said, Africa market has a way of navigating. We're seeing that Africa market are looking up as we speak right now. We're seeing a kind of movement from the market, pointing where the market is going. NGS, which is Nigerian market, is in green. We're seeing even when we're seeing some flat in terms of market rate, we're seeing that index is looking up as we speak right away on NGS right now. Also in South Africa and Ghana, we're seeing a mixed market there, but we're seeing that buyers are still in charge of this market, even when profit taking is also part of the market in those market right now as we speak. Yet, if you look at the data, market data on NGS now, so I will have time to discuss our topic today. Let's look at the data on NGS. That will give us also more insight to see what the market is doing right away. That will guide you to know exactly what to do as a trader or investor as to speak. If you look at the market, I see the market is up, marginally, not marginally, but I see that market has also crossed the 7,000 mark as we speak right now, heading to towards the 128,000 mark right now as we speak, which is a good one. But if you look at the market breadth is almost flat as we speak. We're having a 33 losers and 33 gainers. That's why it's what we call a flat market right now in terms of breadth of market internals. But if you look at the top gainers, the 5 top gainers, you can see that the low cap stocks are dominated apart from GTCO that's also up by almost 9.6%. These are the only known good chips or high cap companies because GT have crossed 100 naira to join the high price stock right now today. You can see that Unicell is up by 10%, trading at 14 naira 85 kobo, followed by Omatech 1 naira 76 kobo, 10% up. We're seeing NSL Tech also up by 10%, 1 naira 21 kobo, and GTCO up by 9.96%, trading at 103 naira and 20 kobo. And the last in that list is the what? IMG, Industrial Medical Gas. These are the top gainers. Here you can see the life of Tambik among the top gainers, but these are the top 5. Going to the loser side, you can see that Multiverse is leading 10% down, followed by Academic Press, and the Champion Brewery, Julie Pharmacy, and Nimex. I'm not surprised of profit taking in this stock that rallied before now, and this is part of market that you see market up and down. And that's why you must pay attention to see what the market doing and understand how you can play the market at any given time to stay ahead of the market. That is the only way you can also make money in the market, where you understand what the market is doing and you pay attention properly to it, and at the end of the day you also be making informed decisions. And that's why today we're looking at the power of what of macroeconomic power of economic and corporate numbers in making an investment decision. It's very important that you pay attention to our discussion this morning because there are major factors or major macro data that you need to pay attention to anytime, any day, because these figures as they come, they review a lot of things to you to make informed investment decision. we say economic numbers. Economic numbers are those numbers that come in terms of macroeconomic data, while some are micro. But you need to understand how these figures came up, and also what are they telling you. Because say when we say numbers don't lie, when this number come, what are they pointing you to? Because you need to understand that these numbers influence a lot of what decision, influence a lot of what action, flow of money, and you need to pay attention to these figures when they are coming for these numbers, because it will give you and what is inside of what is happening, the state of the economy or the state of the activities at that particular time they are coming. We must pay them. Some come quarterly, some come monthly, some can come on a yearly basis, but we must understand them. And the major ones that that major macroeconomic data that influence investment decision are many, but the ones that I want to that tell you what state is the economy and what is the next action you take. How would these figures determine the next move of either the event of a the CBN activities, so in terms of a more policy direction. This is what you need to know, because there are things that they are looking at. This figure will help them to make what, but it influences decision of what of the policy makers of the economy, and especially when it comes to monetary policy. That's why those people want to pay attention to know that these are macroeconomic that are used in taking investment decision. One of these is what is inflation. Inflation comes every month. Inflation figure is very, very important. It tells you what is happening when each of tells you the general price of goods and services are looking up. And when it's looking up, it has the work of affecting what interest rate. For 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 any economy, when there's high inflation, the monetary policy will always follow put to mop up some money. It is assumed that too much money is getting to, so that's why they need to use interest rate to mop up to reduce the inflation and all those stuff. But in most cases, it doesn't go that way. But that is the primary way of where when you see inflation going up and you see the hacking interest rate, it's just to mop up the money. It's true that excess liquidity is the one pushing the prices of goods and services. Most time it can be cost push inflation, and you need to pay attention to all this. And this inflation, when it comes, say that either they say price of general price of goods are up, when the other way say deflation, I mean price of goods are also down. You must also understand which one is better. Is it deflation or inflation? Which one do you want to witness? It's also very, very important. Also, another figure that comes that is very important is the word GDP. Not only that the general output of the economy for a quarter, because they come in quarterly basis, and when it comes on quarterly basis, if it comes and continues to go, it gives you that expansion. But when it comes continue to contract, that's also might lead to word recession. When it comes two times or more than two times, 2 quarters, you see the GDP contracting, that will signal recession on that way. But when we see expanding, that also signal boom on that way. You must understand all this when you are making a word investment decision. But in Nigeria here, we pay attention to our GDP to guide us. Also, you have interest rate. It is the figure of inflation most times. That's what you need to know, because it drives decision of what the monetary policy decision anytime, any day, or a guidance to make what to see where they are heading to, what are they voting for is very, very important. Now, even as today that all eyes are still what on the Nigeria June inflation figure, which the consumer price index that is due today. We're all looking on to see, but I've told you what other climates where they've released the figure, how it has also influenced the policy and also market reaction to it. But here we have seen that rate has been left unchanged for two consecutive time. Now with inflation figure expectation today will give us an insight, even when CBN are giving a signal as they release the purchasing manager index for the month of June, that said yes, there's a little expansion, but we'll come to that also. I can explain detail before we jump into other things. Then the next one there is what is exchange rate. Why exchange is important here in Nigeria, but in other economy where there's stable exchange rate, they don't put it as a factor. But in Nigeria, because of what because we import most of our things, we depend mainly on importation. That is why exchange rate has the work also influencing inflation in Nigeria. When you are doing what's called imported inflation, because of high exchange rate, anything you bring to the country will also be expensive. These are the things that have to. That's why you must pay attention. This will give you an insight which state at the economy at any given time, because as we have circular flow of fund, also economic also flow or kind of we move around in different states. Also the market itself, so we're going to play that one later again. But if you look at this factor that influence or kind of give you an insight or indicate where the economy is inflation, gross domestic product, which is GDP, interest rate, which also an outcome of what of the MPC meeting. And don't forget that when there's any hike in rate, that's the what affecting what the capital market. Why, especially the equity market, one we're looking for, from here to where there's the kind of a high return and low risk. But when you see that rate is coming down, because that people are not ready to put their money where there's nothing coming, they want to take calculated risk, they start coming to equity space. That's why we are seeing circular flow of funds. We have seen the market, put call it that funds are entering the market before now. As we are seeing this, if at the end of the day, if inflation figure hit the the market today, and now the public today, the public today will know exactly is it still declining or that turn up as a as we are looking at. If it got turn up, we know the prediction they might hit rate whole rate for this next 15. But if between now and September, I will not see that there will be a what adjustment either or down or up again, depending on what the September inflation was what what July and August will look like when they come forward on another meeting in September before the last one that will come in November, for the last quarter of the year. But I believe that these figures will guide you. But other figures that are very important are what they look at the positive balance of trade and also the purchasing manager index that comes every quarter to see if the economy is expanding. Yes, we have seen that. If you look at the figure that came from Dynamic IPTC, just for the month of June, we saw that there's a little drop or contraction in terms of PIM, where we saw that the figure for the month of the dropped towards 51.6 from 52.7 in the month of May, reflecting what the lowest expansion in the last 7 months. But the figure that came from central bank, in the case for kind of review, a marginal expansion from from 52.1 in May to 52.3 in June. And the other sectors or other industries that contributed this majorly are what the one from industrial, the industry expanded, expanded to reach 51.4 points, and that of service also 51.3. But we can see that there is a major expansion in agriculture sector that also points to what to expect from also the second number of what of these companies in the agriculture sector. We have seen about 55.2 point for that of agriculture sector. On the whole, the positive balance of trade is a plus for us, and also that our purchasing manager index is not declining. Even when we see like a flat position, we say marginal drop, and that also marginal the report from we say marginal drop, while the report from CBN was saying marginal what growth. All these are telling that yes, the economy is not doing badly, and that is why all eyes are staying on this this month of the month of June inflation figure that will come today to give us more insight as traders or investors. You must pay attention to it because it has a way of also guiding you. If you look at also our GDP for 2025 that we kind of projected by the World Bank that we're likely to have around $505.3 billion for this year. And also, that means we project a growth of 3.7 from the World Bank. This is also good for us. But as we speak now, there's no figure for the first quarter. Yes, we expect to see the second quarter. All are not there. Even when the Bureau of Statistics or the government are planning to rebase the GDP, and we expect to see that to give us where we are and where we are going because of the changes in the economy, which is normal to kind of reflect the expansion, the new sector that are coming in, which is we've seen earlier saying the base of inflation. Well, after that, thing was up for 1 month, the fast going down. We want to see what the GDP look like and what we want to achieve with it. And also kudos to Nigeria for the second time we're seeing that our crude oil production and kind of beat OPEC quota for the second time. Sorry, that we're able to produce about 1.5 million barrel per a day in the month of June. For it's a good news after we experienced the first one in January this year, which is a good one. We're seeing that these are the things, and also our exchange rate are remain relatively stable. We're seeing that also reflecting on some sector. These are the things we're going to see going to influence the market going to the future, and also going to also impact after seeing this half year or Q2 numbers. And on that was discussed on what on the macroeconomic, looking at also the corporate numbers. Corporate numbers will also give you an insight. We have not seen GDP for January for the first quarter, and we are looking at for the second quarter. But we've seen the performance for for the first quarter of corporate numbers, companies, it shows that the economy, Q2, Q1, they also expect to see that GDP expanded. Also, we are looking to see also, even though they have not released the debate, once seeing this Q2 number that will come between now and end of the month, we'll see also to give an insight what the GDP also look like. That's why we must pay attention to all this, but in review activities of the economy, because what companies we are seeing on the exchange are companies that represent what this sectors that are going to look at GDP. That is why each one that comes to anytime it gives you an answer to confirm sectors that are doing well, sectors that will do well, also give you what the economy is also doing. That is why you must pay attention to corporate earnings. And don't forget that price feed on this corporate earnings. It's also this corporate earnings will determine whether there will be dividend that also will push price up. When a company is consistent in growing their dividend, it's going to influence price because you cannot consistently grow your dividend if your earnings is not consistently going up. That's why you must look at all this. That's why looking at corporate number and the economic number in taking consideration or trading is very, very important. So at this season that any seasons around the corner, I'm going to trade these numbers now is very, very important. Which is what I discussed in the last class. Remember, before the last one, that you must know how to trade these earnings. Looking at these numbers also will tell you when to go and when not to go, and also when to exit and when not to. You must target not to trade this earning. Looking at what the power of these figures, because they are the of turning what market sentiment, and that also gives us an insight what we should be doing at this time in the market. Now that today the figure that will come determine if there will be rate cut or not. But I've said earlier, we're not expecting a cut if the rate remain unchanged, and also we're seeing a better figure at the number come. I'll tell you that what the market is doing is just started. The market is likely to go to break out the 130,000 mark, and you see going on as far as 134, 32 if the numbers expected to be, unless these numbers are missed. Also, the investors or traders have factored these numbers into this figure we are seeing now, the price we are seeing. But I believe that the banking sector will remain sector to watch, because I will tell you most of the companies that the banks that were mentioned that about their forbearance and all those stuff, most of them have sorted out their position, expected to pay dividend. These are the things we are seeing. And also, even when there's rate cut, we're going to see bank making money. If rate remain up, banks will make money. On that note, that's why you see there's activities in banking sector for the past 2 weeks now. Last week also, this morning, already seen again at this week. I've started this midweek already. I see that demand for banking stock is also. But at this hour, we are seeing that the vol traders so far have not been so attractive. Say that yes, it's below the average traded volume, but this is just midday. We're right to see afternoon section how it's going to look like. But let's keep our finger crossed and hold on to what the market momentum and know when to take profit and also when also to position. But right now, let's watch the market. Yes, for the corporate numbers that I've mentioned, only two have released the recent expected number. Really came from Geregu and that of Living Trust. And this number from Living Trust look good and better and stronger, while that of Geregu is flat. For me, we don't need to worry. Let's keep on and see more results. I will say, I believe that before this week run out, another water scene, just trickling down gradually. But in the last week of July, you see inflows of this number, and then you can also know the position of the company. For any pullback now, you need to watch it very well and know the good price to key in with the pullback. Pullback will be a plus because it will help the market to gather more strength. As we speak now, market is still looking up, heading toward 128,000 mark in there after it had crossed 127. For me, it's a good one for the market. There's no cause for panicking, but rather buy into value and trade with your plan and trade your plan. Sorry, and trade your plan. You must have your plan to trade. Yes, before we call it a day, I want to quickly call up other indicators so you can look at the market performance and see stock with a good momentum to hold on, and those that were seeing that things are changing. You need to understand all this so that at the end you know what you are doing in the market. Yes, quickly change our C line to what? To 8. Don't joke with it. That's that blue line with the index action. You can see it here. That the market is, you can see that market has been in a strong momentum, trading above the T line, all this one. And the MACD also gives us that this is a strong momentum in the market. Even when a touch here came, the market is up, you can see it here. And money flow is also going up, reading 49, reading at 74, almost let's say now around the 75 already. For me, it's a good one that market is also moving this on a daily basis. If you look at volume, their volume is relatively low compared to all this one I've seen above the average volume. When we look at the 1 hour chart for the market, we need to see how it One hour chart for the market is still very strong. You can see that the index is trading above the T line, trading up, and even MACD is also up. I see money flow leading on almost 90, also 90.5 for me. It's a good one for this. Then we go back and see what is it like in 30 minutes chart. You see what is happening in 30 minutes. Almost the same pattern we're seeing in that of 1 hour. You can see, but on the 30 minutes we're seeing that MACD is bullish, Cassius cross over, but money flow is looking down on 30 minutes. Quickly one, we look at 2 hours. That can lead us to 1 hour for lead index. On 2 hours that is still up now, and MACD is very strong, and money flow is still 83 on 2 hours chart. Finally, look at what the 4 hours chart before we move on to other stuff. On 4 hours chart, money flow is telling that its front in the market 100%, 100 points. This is powerful, and we are seeing that the volume, as we speak, in the last 4 hours, that volume is almost coming to the average traded volume. If you look at the volume indicator, that's that MACD is very strong. Strong momentum in the market for me is not a bad one at all. But quickly look at those stocks that are leading the market to see exactly what the market look like, because I believe that the market might likely retrace up or down as we speak now. But let's quickly pay attention to see those stock gainers as we speak. We are seeing GT today crossing the 100 mark, would have told you earlier. But let's look at the life of us Zenith Bank to see where that stock is going right away. Zenith Bank, need to see where Zenith Bank is going at this moment. So Zenith Bank, need to understand where the bank is going. We are seeing the bank almost touching 78 naira today, which is a good one for the market. You can see this is a 4 hour chart for the stock, because that is above the T line. Strong, you can see where it is, but I tell you that the more the index or the price action is far from the T line, it's far also trying to come down. Also, the more it's low and far from the T line, it doesn't want to come up. But good thing that we're seeing a good volume in this stock at this hour. You can see the volume even on 4 hours start, what is almost attaining above it, average, and money is entering the stock on a 4 hour start. We quickly go back on 2 hour start to back to the position we're taking, because it's still very strong on 2 hours start. The stock is around 78 flat right now, and it's possible that it will rebound before the market close. But consider it's trading strongly at what on the 1 hour chart at 78. So and MACD is very strong, and money flow is reading 83, 88, which is powerful and good for Zenith Bank. Then quickly look at a day chart so far today. So far today, you can see a good move on the stocks. You can see the strong candlestick here, which is also fine. You can see that there's a kind of an uptrend in terms of histogram. Right, volume is coming, and price is moving up. Have to pay attention to this. Is very important. Let's also look at Access Bank at this point before we look at the GT code momentum. Will it continue? You need to ask yourself a question. Will it continue in GT code? You need to ask yourself a question. Will it continue in GT code? Ask yourself a question. Is very important. Let's pay attention to to the life of Access on this chart. You can see that Access is also bullish. You can see it's trading far above the T line. That touch as almost 26.45, 46 this morning. You can see there's a major strong resistance here, which is what strong resistance here is around 28. Any breakout at this point will offer a move, but that's broken out this strong resistance here of 24 naira, and that's what you are seeing at the stock market at 26 something to speak. Also look at that. Then you will look at the chart on a 1 hour chart for Access. Because of our time, wow, our time is fast spent. I will stop here. I will say thank you, and God bless you. See you for Friday, hopefully.